Daniel Werthers claims his wedding videographer ruined his big day after a private conversation was heard by the guests. Sarah Vile says it was an accident, but he was the one being shady. Ms. Vile is countersuing for $5,500.
Okay, Mr. Werthers, you are suing your former friend, Ms. Vile, for $5,500 that you paid her for a video, and she is counterclaiming you a remaining $5,500 that you were supposed to pay at the end. Tell me how you two know each other.
We go pretty far back to 4th grade.
Well, that is far back.
It is. You know, kids. We were neighbors, grew up in the same neighborhood, grew up together, played together as much as we could, I guess, and then as we got older, we kind of grew apart. As you know, as kids get older and it happens, you find different things. I was more outgoing and played football and basketball, and she was more artistic and kind of kept to herself, a little secluded. Okay.
So how did you end up entering a contract together?
Well, so I had just recently been engaged, and I shared it on social media. And I think she was stalking me, maybe, or lurking through the dark webs of social media. Wow. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure that your social media is the dark web, however.
Well, I don't know what she's doing, Your Honor. There could be more.
You posted something for everyone to see, and she's part of the everyone who saw it. So
yes,
she reaches out to you and says what?
And she says, I've recently got into videographer for weddings.
Okay.
And I would really love to offer you a special deal since we know each other. And after that, we met and I signed a contract.
All right, and the contract was for her to video your wedding?
Yes.
And how much were you paying her?
It was $11,000.
Okay, so you paid her $5,500.
Immediately for the deposit, yes.
And then she, in return for, this job pays well, in return for $11,000.
It's a great service.
You were going to do what? Film his wedding and provide him with what?
The content, the video content of the whole
edited
wedding. Edited, videos, stills, interviews with the groom, him, well, not the groom anymore, but the fiance or the bride, their families, friends. It was just a lot of work, but it's very personal. So it's like a big price.
But it is a big price.
Yeah,
half the production.
Yeah, regardless.
Say that again?
There's a lot of work with half the production.
Regardless of the price.
What do you mean a lot of work? Stop a second. What do you mean a lot of work with half the production?
She took pictures of a wedding that didn't take place. So how do you take pictures?
Oh, okay. All right.
You know what I mean?
Let's break down the money before the emotions take over. The complete videography package cost $11,000. Daniel paid Sarah a $5,500 deposit, and the remaining $5,500 was expected after she performed the job. Daniel now wants his initial payment returned because the wedding was never completed and Sarah failed to provide the promised final product. Sarah, meanwhile, is countersuing for the unpaid balance, meaning she wants to receive the entire $11,000. That counterclaim creates a major problem for her. A wedding videography contract typically includes preparation, interviews, filming the ceremony and reception, and extensive editing afterward. Sarah performed some early work, but the main event never occurred. The judge must determine how much value Sarah actually provided before everything collapsed. Should she receive compensation for her preparation and interviews, or should the disastrous microphone mistake erase her right to payment? Tell us what you think.
What happened, though? So here you are. It's your big day. You're in a tux.
So, yeah. She had just done an interview with me telling me why I loved my former fiancée, Amy, and reasons what we were looking forward to in the future. And I got a very important phone call. So I didn't think, and I just took it.
Please.
I took the phone call. I exited rather quickly as possible. And I took the phone call. So, and then little to my knowledge that I was mic'd from the interview that I was overheard for the entire wedding to hear.
You mean everyone who was waiting there for the ceremony to begin?
Family, friends, my
How long was your phone call?
It was as brief as possible.
What is that? I don't know what that means. 1 minute, 20 minutes. What was it?
It was less than 10 minutes.
Less than 10 minutes.
Yes.
And for 10 minutes, people heard you on the phone?
Yes.
How does that happen?
It's a great question for a professional, right?
What happened in the situation where I was doing all the interviews with, as I was in the contract, to have
right,
everyone...
but those interviews were never intended to be heard by the people who were inside waiting for the ceremony to begin.
Exactly.
They're not supposed to be hearing that.
Exactly, Your
So
Honor.
that's my question. How did that happen? As it turns out, it was really bad because you were talking to your side hustle, right?
It's not a side. It's not like a current
It was
side
someone
hustle.
who you were saying, "I love you," even though I'm marrying Amy.
It wasn't like
And
that.
Amy heard it. It wasn't like that?
No.
Tell me how it was. I don't want to get it wrong.
So she's a former ex. She was my first love. So she called because she was telling me she was on the way to ruin my wedding.
Why?
Here is the professional issue at the center of Daniel's lawsuit. Sarah placed a microphone on him during a pre-wedding interview, but when he walked away to answer a phone call, that microphone remained active. His conversation was then heard by the people waiting for the ceremony. Daniel claims the call lasted less than 10 minutes, but even 1 minute of private speech being transmitted to an entire wedding party would be a serious problem. A professional audio team should know where the signal is going, who controls the speakers, and how to mute the feed immediately. At this stage, however, we still have two separate issues. Sarah may be responsible for allowing the broadcast, but Daniel remains responsible for whatever he voluntarily said during that call. The microphone did not create his words, it merely exposed them. Do you believe Sarah should bear responsibility for every consequence that followed, or only for the technical failure itself?
To ruin my wedding.
Why?
Because
if she was your first love from a way long time ago and you weren't seeing her, why would she go ruin your wedding? Because you were seeing her.
I wasn't seeing her at that time. No, that time had gone.
Is that why
So
you're on the
exactly how it
phone?
looks like? That's how it is.
You're
But
on the
anyway,
phone telling her that you
what
were
was
the
it?
only love.
I'm marveling at this. Did you hear the conversation?
I did, Your Honor.
And what was he saying?
He was basically saying on the phone to her that you were my only love. You were the one love. Even though I'm getting married, you're always going to be.
Stop a second.
You're always going to be mine. And like they talked, and it got her to a point where he calmed her down. It was almost like they were going to see each other afterwards.
Okay.
And
can I ask you a question though? Why are the guests hearing that?
Coming up on Justice for the People.
he was supposed to go directly to the altar, and then that was supposed to be
Yeah,
heard.
but then if he like coughs, if he burps, that's also project.
I
I'm
could've
not
gone to the
understanding.
bathroom.
Excuse me. I have been doing this without you my whole life.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is Justice for the People with Judge Millian. We're back with the case of Daniel Werthers, who brought videographer Sarah Vile to court for ruining his wedding.
And now we understand why this wedding fell apart so quickly. According to Sarah, Daniel was not merely trying to calm down an angry former girlfriend. She says he told the woman that she was his only love, that she would always be his, and that they appeared to discuss seeing each other afterward. Daniel insists the conversation has been misunderstood, but those statements would be devastating for almost any bride to hear moments before walking down the aisle. This is where Daniel's case becomes complicated. He can argue that Sarah violated her professional duty by broadcasting the call, but he cannot erase the contents of that call simply because they were supposed to remain private. The court must separate exposure from causation. Sarah exposed the conversation, but did her negligence destroy the wedding, or did Daniel's own words do that? Put yourself in Amy's position. Would you have stopped the ceremony immediately, or given Daniel the opportunity to explain?
I'm trying to understand how that happened. Do you know?
Yes, in my defense, Your Honor, he was the last person to have those interviews when I said that I give everybody little interviews to put it into the content of the wedding videos. He was the last one that I was going to give the interview to. And so I mic'd him up, and we had a little talk. I asked him, what are your plans, you and Amy, in the future? What are you guys going to do for a year?
Please don't interrupt.
For a year from now, like where do you guys see yourselves?
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Yes,
How did it get projected to the entire room of invitees?
So he was mic'd up, and he was supposed to stay mic'd up because from that little interview that I had with him, he was supposed to go directly to the altar, and then that was supposed to be heard.
Yeah, but then if he like coughs, if he burps, that's also projected.
I could have gone to the bathroom.
Excuse me. I have been doing this without you my whole life.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Go ahead. I don't understand. Like, how is it that that mic is not turned off and then turned on again at the relevant time?
Because, for Your Honor, I'm new to my business as well. And the thing was, he was directly supposed to go from my little interview with him directly to the altar without speaking.
It doesn't matter. If the wedding hasn't begun, then whatever he's saying is also going to be projected into that room. And what I don't understand is the minute that you hear that a private conversation is being projected, how do you not turn that off? Not why don't you turn off his mic? Why don't you turn off the speakers that are in there?
To be honest with you, Your Honor,
you didn't know how to.
I needed to contact.
You didn't know how
to. I needed to contact my team to do that as well, because I have certain departments where they all work and do those things.
You did not know how to solve the crisis in that instant.
I was shocked just hearing him talk to that girl, because I have virtues and I have.
The content of his conversation is a different story. He is mad because his voice was being projected to all that. As it turns out, he was up to no good. So he didn't want that to be projected. I am stuck on why was any voice projected and why couldn't it be stopped? What if he's in the bathroom and making bodily noises? I don't get how it is that you couldn't stop the problem. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to get at.
I think it just happened.
It's not that I think he deserves cover.
Yeah.
I think he deserves to be in the front of every newspaper in America.
Right.
And all over the internet.
Sarah's explanation may be one of the worst answers a professional videographer could give. She admits that she did not immediately know how to stop the audio and needed help from her team. She also says she became distracted because she was shocked by Daniel's conversation. But a professional's personal reaction cannot replace basic technical responsibility. Whether Daniel was speaking to an ex, a family member, a doctor, or simply making embarrassing noises, the microphone should not have been broadcasting private audio before the ceremony. The judge is making an important distinction. Daniel's behavior may have been morally questionable, but Sarah was still expected to control her equipment. Being new to the business may explain the error, but it does not automatically excuse it, especially when a client is paying thousands of dollars. Was this an understandable beginner's mistake, or proof that Sarah accepted a job she was not qualified to handle?
All over the internet, I'm dating myself. All over the internet. I just mean I don't understand how the technical difficulty could be so massive. No matter what ends up coming out of his mouth, which is all bad, and I'm glad his bride saw it.
In the separate room.
I presume the marriage, from the way we're talking, did not go forward, right?
It did not.
Right.
But we were in a separate room, and so when it was overheard on the loudspeaker, I was not in the room with all the people, with all the guests listening. I was in a separate area with him doing the interview, and then he was supposed to go in his area and go straight to the altar and then go straight to the
So now
place
you
to get
didn't
married.
hear it broadcast?
Not until I didn't realize it till afterwards. So he goes into the room, and he's talking on the phone, and I'm just so in tune.
Do you feel like there was any...
I voided out everything.
I need you to listen to my question. Do you feel, as you stand here, even the slightest bit of embarrassment that your technical deficiency was heard throughout all of the guests? I mean, it's not your fault. If he was cheating on his bride, I'm glad he was exposed. So I do not want you to misunderstand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, do you feel like this was your best moment professionally?
I wouldn't say maybe the best moment.
And yet you're counterclaiming because you want all of your fee, even though you didn't video anything. I'm sorry, you videoed some interviews.
Yes.
But that got broadcast, and then his private conversations got broadcast throughout and then caused the debacle of his relationship.
Yes, and Your Honor,
he caused the debacle of his relationship.
I could not help the situation that he ruined his own wedding and destroyed the whole
No, I understand, but you could help whether you counterclaim an additional $5,500 when obviously a lot of the work didn't happen. You did not sit through the wedding, video the wedding. You didn't have to spend hundreds of hours editing it. You didn't have to, and yet you've come to court and you are counterclaiming against him to get the remaining money.
The judge is not asking Sarah whether she approves of Daniel's behavior. She is asking whether Sarah recognizes the seriousness of her own professional failure. Sarah repeatedly returns to the argument that Daniel deserved to be exposed. But that is not a complete defense to a breach of contract claim. A videographer is hired to capture an event competently, not to decide when a client deserves privacy. Sarah's counterclaim makes her position even more difficult. She is asking for the remaining $5,500 even though the wedding ceremony was never filmed. The The reception apparently never occurred, and the major editing work was never required. She may be entitled to payment for the services she actually completed. However, demanding the entire contract price after performing only a fraction of the job could appear unreasonable. Do you think Sarah genuinely believes she earned the full amount? Or is she using Daniel's misconduct to avoid responsibility for her own mistake?
Claiming against him to get the remaining money.
Well, ma'am, what happened is, Your Honor, excuse me, I did do a lot of work. So in the contract, it's 1,500 hours worth of work. And I have
How much work would you have
evidence
done
right
beforehand? I'm sorry. If I have to tell you, I think you've done enough talking. I think you should listen a little more.
I've just been very
Tell me what you did beforehand, because all of this work comes after the wedding and during the filming. So and during the editing, really. But tell me what you had done, quote, beforehand.
I had my team come. They had to take days off. I had to pay them. I had to get the equipment going. I spent so much time just setting up the angles, talking to all the guests, doing the private interviews. And as how I work along the way, I kind of edit as I go too. So it's like a lot of time I put in there for my team as well. And after,
do you think anybody's going to hire you, hearing that you made such a fundamental mistake?
I just feel that he deterred from the plan of going to get married.
Well, I'm sorry, you're standing there, you're interviewing him. When he turns around to take a phone call, tell him, you're still mic'd.
Coming up.
Do you seriously think that if you had been in the bathroom, the wedding wouldn't have gone forward? You know it's the content of your conversation that made the wedding not go forward.
This is Justice for the People with Judge Millian.
Sarah finally explains what she completed before the wedding collapsed. She brought her team, arranged the equipment, selected camera angles, interviewed guests, recorded Daniel's pre-ceremony interview, and says she began organizing or editing material as she worked. Those efforts have financial value. The law does not necessarily require the judge to treat her work as worthless merely because the full event did not happen. However, Sarah's original fee also covered the most demanding portions of the job: filming the ceremony, covering the reception, capturing important moments throughout the day, reviewing the footage, and producing a finished wedding video. Most of that work never occurred. The judge can therefore reach a middle ground decision: allow Sarah to retain reasonable compensation for the work she performed while ordering her to refund the unearned portion. How much of the $5,500 deposit would you allow Sarah to keep? None, half, or the entire amount?
We're back with the case of Daniel Werthers, who brought videographer Sarah Vile to court for ruining his wedding.
I'm taking some responsibility for the fact that I should have been more in tune to what was going on with the phone call and his mic.
No. You get me
sorry.
wrong. I don't care about his. I don't care that he got caught. I'm glad you got caught. I don't care about it. I care that he is saying you breached the contract. You're supposed to be a professional and know what you're doing. Meanwhile, you let him walk off, and whether he's in the bathroom having intestinal infortitude, or whether he's having a conversation with his auntie, or whether he's having a conversation with his mistress, or whether he's having a conversation with his first love, it doesn't matter to me.
Your Honor,
he is saying this happened, and then I didn't get my money's worth. Now, you're saying, well, I didn't get my money's worth because the wedding didn't go forward. Do you seriously think that if you had been in the bathroom, the wedding wouldn't have gone forward? You know it's the content of your conversation that made the wedding not go forward.
That is correct, but
What did your bride-to-be say to you? How did you find out that this had happened?
I was returning to the ceremony, and we ran into each other, and she was in tears.
How do you run into each other when the ceremony hasn't begun and you're the groom and she's the bride? How did that happen?
Because she heard the phone call over the PA.
So she just ran into the church with all the guests there?
She left the ceremony.
I don't see how that's my fault.
The ceremony wasn't happening. You two are the ceremony. So the ceremony has not begun, folks. So she didn't leave the ceremony. Where did she go? And I'm trying to understand to see how this develops.
This exchange reveals the court's central conclusion: both parties may be wrong, but for completely different reasons. Sarah was wrong to allow Daniel's microphone to remain active and to lose control of the broadcast. Daniel was wrong to treat Sarah's mistake as the sole cause of the cancelled wedding. The judge points out that Daniel could have been discussing anything: his aunt, a private medical issue, or even something embarrassing in a restroom, and Sarah would still have had a professional obligation to prevent that sound from reaching the guests. But the wedding did not collapse because a random private sound was transmitted. It collapsed because the bride heard Daniel speaking emotionally to another woman. Sarah is responsible for the technical breach. Daniel is responsible for the content and the damage it caused to his relationship. Who do you believe carries more blame overall, even if the legal responsibility must be divided?
Coming up.
And anyone's first love, there's always still a connection there.
Why are you even
I'm
talking
sure.
to her on your wedding day?
She called me, and as
Why
I
are
was
you
trying
answering the phone, running out to answer the phone when you've just been interviewed about your love for Amy?
This is Justice for the People with Judge Millian. We're back with the case of Daniel Werthers, who brought videographer Sarah Vile to court for ruining his wedding.
All right, so what does she do? She runs into the room where the ceremony was gonna be?
No, we ran into each other like at a midpoint.
Okay.
I don't know what you would call a hallway.
And what did she say to you?
She said, "I can't believe you did this," and she
What
was
else?
crying. And
What else did she say? I mean, she
she's-
must have said
she's like,
something
"This is
more.
over."
The judge now
and I-
turns to a question many viewers are probably already asking. Why did Daniel answer this call at all? He had just finished discussing his love for Amy and was supposed to be heading toward the altar. Yet he stepped away to answer an ex who was allegedly threatening to interrupt the wedding. Daniel claims he was trying to prevent a scene, but the situation raises obvious doubts. Why was this woman still able to create such urgency in his life? Why did he believe he had to personally calm her down at that exact moment? And why did his reassurance involve language that sounded romantic? Even if the microphone had been switched off, Daniel's decision to engage in that conversation on his wedding day remains difficult to defend. Sarah's mistake made the call public, but Daniel created the opportunity for disaster. Would you have answered the phone under those circumstances?
She's like, "This is
Something more than
over," and I was begging her to not be and trying to explain the situation.
Well, what did she think the situation was? What did she say?
She thought that I still had feelings for my ex, and I just was making it clear that anyone's first love, there's always still a connection there.
Why are you even
I'm
talking
sure.
to her on your wedding day?
She called me, and as
Why
I
are
was
you
trying
answering the phone, running out to answer the phone when you've just been interviewed about your love for Amy?
because she's already sending text
You're
messages.
supposed to be at the altar.
I
Why
understand
are you
that,
stopping
but
to
she
speak
was
to her?
sending threatening text messages.
Threatening text messages.
That she was going
Well,
to
how
ruin
long
the
has it
wedding.
been since you see this woman? Oh, you know which women write a threatening text message? The one whose house you were just at. Nobody from 10 years ago writes a threatening text
It
message.
wasn't 10 years ago, it was months ago.
And your fiance
Oh, I'm
wouldn't
sorry.
leave the wedding.
Wait. Hold on. That's not just going to slide by. It was months ago, so you cheated on your wife
You
to be
said
months
when I
ago.
spoke with her. I didn't do anything with her. I spoke with her.
Is that
Really?
why she left you at the wedding with the whole
She left me at
venue?
the wedding because you were terrible at your
Can
job.
I just? No, she didn't. No, sweetheart. Don't be so stupid.
It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for her
you
negligence.
mean, right. But for her incompetence, you wouldn't have been caught.
Caught trying to save my wedding?
Caught trying to save your wedding.
She said she was going to come and ruin
Had
the
that
wedding.
fly with your bride, because it's flying the same way with me.
Judge Millian's verdict when Justice for the People returns.
That single admission changes the entire emotional picture. Daniel initially described the caller as his first love from the distant past. But under questioning, he reveals that their contact was not from 10 years earlier. It was only months ago. The transcript does not conclusively establish that Daniel had a physical affair, and he denies doing anything beyond speaking with her. Still, recent contact makes the ex's threats, emotional dependence, and wedding day phone call far more suspicious. It also explains why Amy may have interpreted Daniel's words as evidence of an ongoing attachment rather than harmless nostalgia. Daniel continues blaming Sarah for the failed wedding, but his credibility is weakening with every new detail. Sarah's negligence allowed him to be heard. It did not make his timeline inconsistent. Do you believe Daniel was honestly trying to save his wedding, or was he attempting to manage a relationship he had never fully ended?
Returns. This is Justice for the People with Judge Millian.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may interrupt, when you do videography and things, there's so much work, and all this videoing and filming and everything takes place like a lot when everybody shows up. The families, that's a lot of
You didn't
time
get the
and
family,
effort.
'cause the wedding
And
didn't
so,
start yet.
Let
That
me
happened
finish.
after the wedding.
I'm going to figure out what your work was worth that you put in beforehand. You can talk all you want, but
We are now
my
approaching
job-
the verdict, and the legal picture is clearer than the emotional one. Daniel has established that Sarah failed to manage her audio equipment professionally and did not complete the wedding video package he purchased. That supports his request for at least a partial refund. However, Daniel has not convincingly shown that Sarah alone caused his relationship to end. The judge clearly believes the contents of his call gave Amy the reason to cancel the wedding. Sarah has demonstrated that she performed some preparation, setup, staffing, and interview work. That gives her an argument for keeping part of the deposit. But her demand for the entire remaining $5,500 is extremely weak because most of the filming and post-production work never occurred. The likely result is a split decision. Daniel receives part of his deposit back, Sarah keeps payment for the limited work performed, and her counterclaim is denied. Make your prediction now. How much should Daniel recover?
Talk all you want, but my job is to see through this.
Your
Okay?
Honor, I have evidence.
Stop. I'm ordering you, on his lawsuit against you, I am ordering you to return a portion of the money that you were paid, $3,000 verdict for the plaintiff. On your lawsuit against him to collect $11,000, no, that's not going to happen. Most of that $11,000 you didn't end up having to do. The gall of you suing for an additional $5,500 so you would get your entire $11,000 that you were charging when you didn't have to do 90% of the work, no, that's not going to happen. On your counterclaim against him, $0. On his claim against you, $3,000.
Judge Millian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $3,000.
You're basically just broke our contract that we had, and I hope people can see that in the future, that not to do any deals with you.
Well, the judge saw fit that I was correct,
You being
so
unfaithful.
it looks like your business might be over.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.